Birthday week continues here at Dead Rabbit Radio as we take a look at two bizarre and grotesque stories. First off, we take a look at a story of what happens when a deeply mentally ill man goes to sleep. Have you ever wondered what type of dreams crazy people have? Well, I got one for you. And then, it's my dream. It's like this happened to me last night. And then, we travel to a house in the suburbs to take a look at the story of a young boy who's just made his very first imaginary friend. She's huggable, lovable, and loves to play. But this imaginary friend has even darker intentions in store for the child. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing. We got a ton of stuff to cover. So first off, running into Dead Rabbit Command right now at full speed. Everyone get on your feet and give it up for YouTube. Woohoo, yeah! Wee! Doing cartwheels, dancing all around in Dead Rabbit Command. YouTube supported the live stream. I think it was the 5th annual live stream, and I felt really bad. Apparently, YouTube signed up for, you donated money, and I never gave them the shout out. I don't think I gave anybody the shout outs for the 5th anniversary live stream. There's a couple of you guys here on this note piece of binder paper. YouTube hit me up with a comment and goes, hey, I don't think I ever got my shout out, so I apologize for that. YouTube, you're going to be our captain, our pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the Patreon or the show financially, I truly understand, I really do. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. YouTube, let's go ahead and start off by jumping on board the Carpenter caboose. We're going to leave behind Dead Rabbit Command. Let's chug all the way out to Southern California. Nice leisurely train ride. YouTube's wearing a little engineer outfit. We're going all the way down to Southern California. We're about to meet a man who's appeared multiple times on the show, a man who goes by many aliases, but only one real name. Everyone, welcome in Max Kremer. Woo! It's the one name. I actually don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Max Kremer? I'm not for sure. I'll put his previous episodes in the show notes, but if you are unfamiliar with him, Max Kremer is a guy he's homeless. That's the first notable thing about him, is he's homeless. Because if I don't include that part, you're like, well, sounds like a pretty interesting guy. I wonder how his company is doing. He's a homeless video game designer. That's like the oddest. He's like, what job requires the most resources? And what do I not have? What do I have the opposite of? I'm a homeless video game designer. Max Kremer, he's a homeless video game designer. He has this website that he's built called the Immortal Jewish Car Machine. He's Jewish, by the way. He's a homeless Jewish video game designer, and he's the creator of the Immortal Jewish Car Machine. He believes that we are living in the Matrix. He believes that. CAR stands for Computer Assisted Reality, and that not only are all of us living in the Matrix, but only very few of us are real people. Most of us are NPCs. He was way ahead of the curve on this whole NPC thing. So he believes there are very few actual humans living in this computer assisted reality. Max Kremer, Immortal Jewish Car Machine. He's trying to expose actually, now that I think about it, I don't know what his end goal is. Is he trying to destroy the machine? Is he trying to leave the machine? Well, here's the thing. Spoiler alert. He's wrong. We're not currently living in the computer-assisted reality known as the Immortal Jewish Machine. He's not a game developer. Like, he writes on notepads ideas he has for games. He has this game he wants to come out called Wergoal, about a regular seagull that eats radioactive trash and then becomes buff. And then, like, drops bricks on people. Like, that's the whole game. Which sounds funny. I'd play it. But he's never developed it. He just comes out with ideas for games like Wergoal, and he has, like, some skeleton guy who's like Batman but a skeleton. He's crazy, right? That's a crazy idea. As I'm copying them, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Skeleton Batman. I'll make $1 million. Anyways, we talked about him a lot on this show. And before you guys think, he just sounds like a lovable, harmless dude, a homeless game inventor, I do have to remind new listeners and old listeners who have had this memory removed from them. They don't want to remember this. Max Kremer also once very publicly on his website stated that he wanted to kill dads and then skin them and then wear their skin so he could do things to the children, the dad's children. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as well. You're not like, Jason, why are you picking on this guy? He seems totally harmless. The opposite of harmless. As far as we know, he's never killed a father and worn his skin. As far as we know, it's just a thought. And is thought crime truly a crime? Anyways, I think it's interesting because we've covered a lot of stories with him. He definitely has some serious mental issues. But in this one, we're going to take a look at a dream. Have you ever wondered, I wonder what a crazy person's dreams are like? You're like, nope, never thought that. Never thought that before. People who aren't mentally ill, their dreams are already weird. So what would a mentally ill person's dreams be like? Let's take a look at this. So Max Kremer had a dream where he is in England. That's pretty posh, right? Most of my dreams take place, and now that I think about it, do they take place in America? I assume they do. Everyone speaks English and all the street signs and the architecture looks normal. I don't think I've ever had a dream in a foreign country. I don't think I've ever dreamt that I was in Italy or in Spain or something like that. That's weird. Max Kremer, he has a dream that he's in England. And he runs across the group of teenagers. And they're like, "Oi, mate! Oi! Come over here, Max. Me want to show you something. Use your own peepers to take a look at this." Max walks over there. And they show him that they have pieces from a human skull in their bedroom. "Oi, mate, look at this. I done bashed his head in right and good, I have." And that's when Max Kremer hears someone yelling down the street going, "We're killing the wankers." Which I don't know how bad of a word that is. You're like, oh. Doesn't that just mean like a bad person? Like, stupid idiot. I don't know. I hope that's not like some horrible racial slur. All of a sudden I get banned in Britain. They're like, "What? You can't say that on television." I don't know. I think it just means, I can look it up. I think it just means like a lame person, right? That's not what it means. It means someone who masturbates. But so that's not too bad, right? Wanker. Okay, anyways, so they go, we killed the wanker. Killing the wankers. So anyone who's currently masturbating, which I hope you're not doing during this podcast. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure this podcast is played on in the background while people have been having sex. And I'm sure it's played in the background. Hopefully you forgot to shut it off. You're not like, well, the wife has left for the day. Nothing like a little bit of Dead Rabbit Radio. And a box of tissues. Hopefully that's not the case. But they're killing the wankers. So apparently anyone who's currently masturbating in this city is getting killed. And then one of these young men turns to Max Kremer and says, "It's like they're robbers." I don't know if that's in reference to the wankers. It's like they're robbers. Don't steal my wallet. Don't rub homosexual mate with me. Now, here's the really interesting thing. You're like, wait, that wasn't it? That wasn't the craziest part? This guy turns to Max and says, "We're not gay." He has a big thing about not being gay. He's really, really afraid that eventually the car machine, the computer-assisted reality, is going to turn him gay. In multiple posts, he talks about, "They're trying to turn me gay, they're trying to make me attracted to men," and stuff like that. I don't know, buddy. I don't know what's going on there. But he believes a lot of times that, let me see if I can remember this correctly, Asian men are hiding in the skin of black men to try to get him to have sex with them. Or it might be the reverse. It might be black men hiding in the skin of Asian men. To be honest, they're both insane. So I don't remember which one. But he's constantly talking about how people are trying to make him, the whole reality, the universe is trying to turn him gay. So it kind of makes sense that he has a super homoerotic dream where anyone who's masturbating is getting killed, and this guy says, don't steal my wallet, don't be a homosexual with me. But what's even weirder than all of that is then his dream, and I can't think of this happening in my dream either. I've had dreams that end with movie credits. Like as the dream's ending, as I'm waking up, and that I'll start to see credits roll because I watch so many movies, so many television shows. He actually is able to say there's a smash cut here. So at edit, he goes, there's a cut to, the man says that to him, and then bam, next thing he knows, he's in a hot tub with two other guys. Okay, so, I mean, listen, Max, you might be gay. I'm not saying that you are, okay? But you're afraid of being gay all the time. All the time. You might legitimately be afraid of turning gay, but you also just might be gay. Like at a certain point, you probably. Here's the thing: he has so many other things he needs to get checked out. That might be low on his list, but this guy says, "Don't be gay with me." And the next thing Max Kremer knows, he's sitting in a hot tub with two drunk dudes in a hot tub, and they're both wearing glass boxes over their heads. And they're sitting in the hot tub with him. And he goes, one of these guys looks like someone I knew back in high school. He sees these two guys sitting there with glass boxes over their heads. And then all of a sudden, a third person runs up to the hot tub and begins to smash the glass boxes that are on these two guys' head. He's just like violently attacking them, smashes the glass boxes, and then begins smashing the men's heads open. You're sitting in a hot tub with these two dudes, one you might know from college, the next thing you know, just like, you're covered in brain matter. You're like, I didn't expect this. For Max Kremer, this is a normal dream. He's like, I didn't wake up at this point. It's not a nightmare yet. Glasses flying everywhere from the shattered boxes. These guys are getting their heads pounded open. At that point, the classmate dude, the guy who reminded him of an old kid that he went to high school with, jumps up and starts screaming out loud, my penis is burning, my penis is burning. And at that point, I don't know if the assaulter did this. I don't know. I have no I have no idea. Pick your poison. Which is creepier? Which is a more shocking image? You're sitting in a hot tub. You see two men get violently attacked. Their heads are starting to cave in. A guy jumps up and goes, my penis is burning. My penis is burning. It's not on fire, by the way. It's a normal looking penis. But then it gets chopped off. It just chopped off. I don't know if the attacker pulled a knife out and cut it off. Would that be, what's creepier, that, or if you saw someone standing in front of you and then all of a sudden their penis fell off with no interaction? I think the second one's scarier, because I'd be afraid that would happen to me. I'm like, is this contagious? What was that? Why did it just fall off? If you saw a guy cut a dude's dick off, you'd be like, well, it would be alarming, right? It's not like you're like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. You'd leave. But if you saw it just magically get severed from the body, you would think that could happen to me too. Could be Invisible Man. Anyways, blood begins to fill up the hot tub. It's shooting out of their heads. It's shooting out of this severed penis. To my one remaining listener, and we know what you're doing while you're listening to this segment, blood is filling up the hot tub. Again, this is so weird. This is such a weird image for Max to kind of... You think, it's funny too, you think about the amount of dreams that he's had that he hasn't written down. He posted this on his website. Imagine all the dreams he's like, well, that was way too weird. I'm not putting that online. He said that the tub started to fill up with blood, but he said it, quote, looked like a 1950s color movie, and the blood looked unrealistic. So that's another interesting little visual cue here, right? That it looked fake. It looked like it's cheesy blood. But at that point, everything is... Well, it's interesting. At that point, everything's so graphic he wakes up. It's also possible that his brain realized this is just a dream. Like, that's not what blood looks like, Max. And that woke him up. Could be either way, but when he wakes up, he hears a voice in his left ear say, "Hello? We've killed lots of people." And this is where it goes from being a dream from a man who suffers from pretty serious mental disorders. I don't know what they are, but I mean, just definitely paranoia. If I had to do an armchair diagnosis, paranoia, for one. I mean, also, it's probably some sociopathy if he wants to wear people's skin and attack their children. What I find interesting, though, is it goes beyond just the dream of a crazy man. This dream, the reason why he wrote this down out of all the dreams that he has, and I'll be honest, I have not even scratched the surface. This guy's website is so huge. I haven't even found everything on it. We've covered him quite a few times. This might be the 5th or 6th time he's been on the show. It's not that, it's just the dream of a crazy man. He also believes that this is part of the conspiracy. He believes that what happens is that his dream was not his dream. This was the dream of a real-life killer, probably in Britain, who'd been killing people, and that dream had been uploaded from that NPC into the Matrix and then downloaded into his brain. It wasn't so much his dream, it was somebody else's dream transplanted into his head. And now, that was just the first step. Now what's happening is the computer-assisted reality is beginning to download memories into his brain that are not his. And he said, in about 100 years, I will be framed for all of these murders. Murdering all the winkers and chopping off my friend's penis in a hot tub. I'm going to be framed for all of this stuff. But he does have a way to fight back. He does say at the end of this post online that there's a quote, annoying enemy droid out there. There's a robot out in the world that is pissing him off, but he doesn't know where it's at. He goes, I think it's the droid. I think it's this annoying enemy droid that was responsible for uploading the dreams and then downloading them into my head. So I'm challenging him to a fight in the Matrix. We'll do it on his turf if he feels comfortable that way. But once I destroy this stupid robot, then they'll know not to mess with me anymore. Max Kremer is going to beat the computer-assisted reality. It's fascinating, right? Just as a dream, just as a bizarre, graphic, horrific vision. It was disgusting. It was gross. It was fun to talk about. But then imagine it leaking into the real world where him saying, that wasn't my dream. The dream for somebody else. It's just an interesting look at dreams in general, and then the dreams of a crazy person, and then the dream of somebody who's crazy, and when he wakes up, he thinks the dream is real, but it's not his dream. And now he thinks he's going to be framed for this, and that there is a real murderer out there that is committing these murders that he'll be blamed for. It's interesting that he says in 100 years. I assume because he thinks he's living in the Matrix, and he's one of the main characters, that he won't die. Like, because if the reality is a Matrix, then why would people die? Well, it wouldn't make any sense. You could just keep it going forever and ever and ever, and no one would get old. I also got to say, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but a big shout out to Oogs. He was the first person to turn me on to the story of Max Kremer. Send me over the website, and I will leave you guys on it. So thank you very much for that, Oogs. And I will leave you guys on a cliffhanger. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before on the show, that we do know his location now. We do know Max Kremer's location now. It's actually not in Southern California. He has been spotted by an intrepid listener of this podcast. Sent me an email of where he's at now, what he's up to. It's absolutely bizarre. To be fair, this email did come like a year or two ago. I don't know why I never brought it up. I got it in 2021, so it's been about 2 years. That person's probably like, dude, I found the guy. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. But we'll find out. I'll save that for another episode, though. We'll continue the story of Max Kremer. YouTube, let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the Carpenter copter. We are leaving behind Southern California. Or are we? Is that where he's still at? Jason just said he's not there anymore. We're leaving behind this new place he's at. Fly us all the way out, too. A house in the suburbs. You know, as we're flying out there, I'll give you a really quick 1 or 2 paragraph. Dead Rabbit Radio recommends. I saw The Creator. I keep calling it The Collector. That's a different movie. I saw The Creator this weekend. Didn't get to see Expendables 4 yet. I know you guys are all disappointed in me because I was going to and I haven't. I went and saw The Creator this week, and it's funny because I don't particularly like that director, Gareth Edwards. I don't know him personally. I hated Godzilla so much. I was so mad I never watched another Godzilla movie. It pissed me off. I never saw Rogue One. I saw the ending. I saw the last half hour. It's pretty good. The Creator is a new movie. It's out of the theaters right now. And I went to go see it, even though I knew he did it. And it was a real crapshoot because I hated Godzilla. But it's a original sci-fi movie. It's not part 4. It's not based on a comic book. Not based on a toy line. And I like all those movies, right? I love Transformers and Fast Furious 10 and all that stuff. Expendables 4 I'll see eventually. But it's also nice to support movies that aren't those things. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was really enjoyable. And I'm a big movie budget guy. I love the behind the scenes. He shot it on like a $4,000 camera you can order from like bestbuy.com or walmart.com. Shot the whole movie on these. Really, they call them prosumer because they're basically a pro camera at a consumer price, and the whole movie cost $80 million, which is shocking because it looks like Transformers. Those movies cost $250-300 million. This movie looked better than any of those. This movie looked better than any of the recent Marvel stuff. It's fantastic. I recommend it if you're a fan of filmmaking. I recommend it if you want to support original sci-fi movies, or if you're just a fan of sci-fi in general. It's super enjoyable. If you don't get out to see it at the theater, you definitely catch it on streaming, but I went and paid my $15-20, whatever my ticket was, plus popcorn, just to support original stuff. I really do like that. Dead Rabbit Radio recommends The Creator. We are standing outside this house. It's the 1990s. We're about to meet a young boy. He didn't give his name. We're going to go ahead and call him Tyler. Tyler said he was pretty young when all of this started. He goes, I probably was between the ages of 3 and 5. So let's settle on 5. Let's settle on 5. 5-year-old boy. And he meets an imaginary friend named Cat. And he goes, kind of looked like what its name was. It was a cat. It was a giant cat, about 4 to 5 feet long. Black fur, long black tail. Orangish yellow eyes. Now, I don't know if it was bipedal. Bipedal? I don't know if it walked on 2 legs. He doesn't specify that. I would think so. I think it would kind of be a cooler, like if you imagine just the cat, a big cat walking around, that'd be kind of like dumb. So there's some cat in the corner of your house listening to this podcast. It's like, what? Oh man, Jason thinks I'm dumb. Not you, you're not dumb, but if you had to imagine, you could be any Drop Dead Fred, or I don't know, like a moose with the body of an ant. You'll do all sorts of cool stuff. He's just a cat. But if it walked on 2 legs, that'd be cooler, is what I'm saying. However, Tyler said this cat not only was this cat a girl cat, but it had feminine features. You could tell without looking at its genitalia if it was a boy cat or a girl cat. I don't think. That's what people normally, imaginary friend shows up. They're like, I don't know, you boy or girl. Let me check. He goes, you could tell it was a girl cat. I never got a close look at its genitalia, but you could tell it was a girl cat. It's almost like I'm on a mission to make listeners leave the show. I don't plan it. This isn't meant to be as horrific as it sounds. He goes, the cat had a very feminine body. Like, even though it was a cat, it was a tall cat, it had the curves of a woman, including female breasts. It had boobs. furry boobs. Furry boobs. Probably like little furry hips. Imagine if, some pervert had to draw a picture of a cat, is what I'm thinking. Maybe not that pervert. Giant boobs and a giant bubble butt. But imagine if, like, Looney Tunes wanted to make a sexy cat character. That's kind of what this cat would look like. Had boobs. Feminine features and boobs. And he goes, Cat was actually a good friend of mine. We hung out a lot. And not only that, Cat helped me. Cat helped me out. Cat actually taught me how to read. That's pretty good imaginary friend. Being like, what does this say? And you're like, the duck went up. And the cat's like, meow. Very good. Meow. Clapping with little paws. Taught him how to read. But then also would tell him to do things. And Tyler said they were always fairly innocuous things. He's writing this, many years in the future, obviously. This happened back in 1990, so... How old, if, 95? Never mind. I'm not going to do the math. He'd probably be maybe 35 years old now. Or older. Or not. But anyways, the point is that it took place a while ago. He's a little kid. She goes, she would ask me to do things. It's pretty innocuous stuff at first. But not, like, hide things. Tyler, why don't you hide that toothbrush your mother loves so much? Meow. I would be like, okay, so he hides the toothbrush. The next morning, Mom's like, where's my toothbrush? I need my toothbrush. Your mother does not have a toothbrush. And Cat would get him to hide stuff, get him to do little things that are annoying to people. But then, if he refused to do it, because it's just minor stuff, hide Papa's car keys. Yes, hide them in the closet. Nah, Cat, I don't want to hide the car keys. Dad's running around, he's bleeding. He's like, I need to go to the ambulance right away. It'll be delightful. Hide the car keys. If Tyler refused to do what Cat said, Cat would hiss at him. Shh. Hides Dad's car keys. So he wouldn't go along with everything Cat was wanting him to do, but, it's generally pretty mild things. One night, Tyler's asleep and he wakes up, and Cat is standing there by his bed. And she asks him to do something. Tyler goes, I don't remember. Even all these years later, I don't remember exactly what she said to me. I don't remember what it was. But I remember refusing. I was really, really tired. I remember telling her no, I didn't want to do it. What it was, I don't remember, but I didn't want to do it. He said that when he refused this request, Kat got angrier than Tyler had ever seen her. She was furious. Furious at him for refusing. To do whatever it was. Doesn't remember. So Kat grabs Tyler and drags him off the bed. Don't know, again, if he's walking on two legs, using hands to grab Tyler, if to yank Tyler out of bed, or if she's biting onto his clothing, dragging him out like a cat would. We don't know. Quibbles of details, really. Kat got so angry that she pulled Tyler out of bed and then pulled him out of his bedroom and continued dragging him down the hallway. And while everyone else in this house was asleep, in the middle of the hallway, Kat climbed on top of Tyler and raped him. Tyler says he posted this online under the name Listless Caribou. And he goes, I didn't know what was going on. I had no context to put it into what Kat did to me that night. It was a decade, if not longer, after that when I thought, oh my God, like, I was raped. That's what Kat had done to me. But yeah, when you're 5, can you process that? Do you even know what's going on? Tyler says it didn't hurt. It didn't feel good. I just was extremely terrified by what was going on. Kat was on top of me, and I couldn't process what was happening. I just knew that I didn't like it. It terrified me. I was so scared of it. And it wasn't until much, much later that he realized what he had been sexually assaulted. He had no frame of reference for it at that time. Now, what's interesting was a couple interesting things about this one. He doesn't report seeing Kat since then, or at least he doesn't tell us that he's seen Kat after that event. He was posting that, does anyone know what this is? That's what the title of his post was. Can anyone identify this entity? Does anyone know what this thing is like? And people have said, suggested it could be a demon, it could be a succubi, it could be all sorts of things of what it could be. The way he describes it, because people are asking, like, do you know, is there a chance you could have misinterpreted what was happening? Because a lot of people who were responding to him were at least open to the idea that this was paranormal. It's interesting, someone posted, pedophilia also is not something you would expect from a spirit guide. I would argue that that's not necessarily true. I mean, I think it's definitely, if humans are capable of doing it, I don't know why a spiritual entity wouldn't be capable of doing it if they wanted to, if they had the will to. I mean, there could be pedophile aliens out there. Those reports probably wouldn't really get out there. But I'm sure that's a creepy thought. I'm sure that, obviously, right, if ghosts, just taking ghosts, pedophiles die too. So there probably are pedophile ghosts. There's definitely demons who would be into this type of thing. Why not anything else? Any other cryptid or spirit or ghost or spirit guide? Anyways, Listless Caribou, Tyler says, talking about there's a chance that I might have misinterpreted. Tyler said, listen, I was 30 years ago, and when I came to the potential conclusion that that's what she was doing, I was like 16 or 17. So we are talking 10 to 12 years later. 10 to 12 years after it happened is when I kind of figured it out. And Tyler goes, she was definitely on top of me and sliding around, but I was very scared and couldn't see well. So that's kind of how they place that story. And then, yeah, there's no articles or anything, no posts that I saw Kat after that. It's almost like, we don't know for sure, but it's almost like Kat left Tyler alone after this event. But it's absolutely terrifying. There's a couple different ways we can look at it. It could be a ghost. The fact that it was teaching him how to read does feel very demonic. In the sense that demons do have this is in the lore, when you look at demonic lore, they do have I don't know if I'd use the term quest for knowledge, but they do hold a knowledge and wisdom at high regards. There's a lot of demons that you summon them simply to learn things. A lot of the demons, that's like one of their powers when you're summoning them because you want to know something. They do relish knowledge. They're definitely inquisitive. So the fact that it's teaching him to read would put it more in that category of a demon over a ghost. Could be a spirit guide, could be like an animal spirit, something like that. It's also possible, this is probably the creepiest one, is that something happened to this boy, and that's the only way his mind could deal with it, was to create the cat memory. But that's not what happened. Like, it was a human who did it, a human close to him, or maybe some stranger who walked in through the window, but that's far more unlikely than it happening to someone near you. It's just, that could be that his brain broke, and it kind of created this fake memory. And something we looked at recently about how the brain can actually, if you suffer from certain mental illnesses, it can go back, your brain can go back in time and create new memories 30, 40 years in the past. So if you all of a sudden have a paranoid delusion that your neighbor is stalking you, I'll put that episode in the show notes. There is a part of that delusion, a part of that mental illness. I think it was specifically about schizophrenia, but it's not that your neighbor is stalking you. It's that you remember your neighbor's been stalking you since you were 7. And you remember going to your new elementary school and your next door neighbor was the librarian. And then you remember going to high school and your next door neighbor is the bus driver. And then you remember in college, and your neighbor was in none of those things. Your brain will rewrite memories retroactively. And that could be something like this. I'm not saying this person's mentally ill, but I'm saying if you go through a trauma like that, and it's not like who knows? Who knows? Like, that's the thing when you talk about the paranormal, it could 100% have been a paranormal entity. It could have been a succubus. Very weird to appear in that form, but not unheard of. You know, obviously demons and succubi can disguise themselves. Why not? If you can do that, why not disguise yourself as a cat? It could either be paranormal, it could be his brain trying to hide a deep-seated trauma from him. Either way is terrifying. One's more sad than the other. One's much more sad, and that's that someone who he trusted and loved in the real world did this to him, and it afflicted him so bad that his brain had to rewrite itself. That's sad. It's terrifying to think that this, and so we've covered a lot of imaginary friends lately. I try to space them out, but when you come across just crazy stuff like this, and you've run out of stories, you run out of news stories, you haven't had time to research. I was planning on saving this one for later because we've done so many imaginary. We just did one last week. But it's terrifying to think of it as a spiritual entity, because then nobody's safe. You could have the most loving household. Everyone in it could be treating each other respectfully and would never think of harming each other in this way. But then an entity sneaks into the house and rapes your kid. Like, that's beyond horrifying. You can do everything else right. You can make sure that you can do listen, there are a lot of good parents out there who stuff has happened to their children. That doesn't mean they're a bad parent. That type of stuff, unfortunately, does happen as well. You can be from the best family. You can be in the best environment, and stuff still happen to you like this. Doesn't mean they did a bad job. But, I mean, it's just like if you knew going into it, I just can't protect my family. Like, I can try my best to keep my kids away from weirdos and perverts, and sometimes, unfortunately, still does happen, but it's not going to happen with anyone in this house. Like, none of us are going to do anything. We're going to do our best to hold off the outside world. But you're not even thinking about the spirit, the entity, the demon that can sneak in. And you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think that. You would never think in a million years a cat is going to rape my son. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today. Have a great one.